Hey, thank you for watching this video about an introduction to agentic AI and how you can use that for automating your business. First of all, we're going to talk about why you would need agentic AI, when you should start, and give you some examples of AI automations that we've already built for ourselves and for our clients, so you get an understanding of what is possible with today's AI. We built this automation for a subcontractor in demolition, and he takes complicated plans that you can see here in a matter of minutes into a proposed document that is a proposal for his demolition services, complete with a table of content, executive summary, and a detailed scope of work. We also built an automation for this company, was it caregivers in senior care, to identify agencies that may refer clients to them and to prepare them for these meetings. Third, we'll show you a couple of automations that we built for ourselves. One is how we produce content with this automation, for example, blog posts that are posted on our website and our newsletter that you get on a monthly basis. We'll also show you how we monitor our own web presence, looking at where we are listed, how we are reviewed by different sites, and how our website is performing. Technically, load speed and stuff like that. Last but not least, we'll give you a glance of how we prospect clients using LinkedIn and automations to get this done, to qualify prospects, to find the right contacts, and to invite them to have a conversation with us. Ultimately, what we'll talk about is the steps that you can take to learn more about this. So before we start, let me give you a brief introduction. I'm Danny de Vries. You can hear that I'm not a native American. I'm from Europe. I've been a SaaS entrepreneur for about 12 years and a trainer and business coach for over 20 years. Previous to that, I was in the corporate world, occupying roles like CEO, CFO, and in a far distant past, I was an auditor for PricewaterhouseCoopers. Let's talk about whether you need AI in your business. The question isn't if AI applies to you. It's actually when you start, because everyone's going to start. The question is, when are you going to follow? The old way of doing things is doing things manual, using a lot of labor, spending a lot of time, which obviously has an impact on your staff, on yourself, and may cause burnout. The other way and the new way is using AI to help you out in your growth, getting tasks done in a more speedy way. And that's obviously the way to go now. Now, the sooner that you take a track, the better it is off for you, whether it's in your competitive landscape, the relationships that you have in your business and contacts. So again, the old way of doing things versus the new way of doing things, having AI at your side. AI is just a tool. But don't you, as a professional, want to have the best tool in your toolkit? If you run a carpenter business, you don't want to have a Hadget in your toolkit, right? This is how AI applies to you as well. The old way of doing things, if I would go and do some prospecting, I'd go manually through LinkedIn and find the people that I could reach out to. The new way of doing things is to have AI research these people and have a personal outreach to exactly those persons that qualify best as your prospects. The old way of doing things is building proposals and looking through plans on a manual basis. The new way is to automate that process entirely. The old way of doing things was going to Google News and scraping the latest news and then finding what news it is to publish and to put on your blog. The new way is to have AI find the relevant topics, in our case, cybersecurity, make summaries, and create those news items for you automatically. And another example here is to chase content for your newsletter. Go and ask anyone in your organization, do you have a new piece that I can do and can put in my newsletter? The new way is to have AI do that for you, auto-generate all the newsletter content and format it in such a way that you can send it out to prospects, clients, and stay top of mind with the most important relationships that you have. Now, do we suggest that you have AI do everything and replace everyone? No, because AI is not there yet. And I question whether AI is ever going to be there. So we believe that the human in the loop is essential for trust and oversight, so that you actually know what's going out, what content is being created, and whether the process and automation is running smoothly. So we always suggest that there is a key component in this automation, which is you, the human in the loop. Now, let's talk about AI agents and what they are and what they can do in your processes and automations. Once you give an AI agent an instruction, he will always do the same thing over and over again in the manner that you have prompted him to do so. Is a combination of things. If you look at the right side of this slide, you can see the AI agent on the top, but it has certain tools to work with. Based on your prompt, it will use certain tools in order to create a certain output that you'd want. If I go through the examples, you can see a model, which is a large language model that it will use in order to do its task. In this case, it's Gemini 2.0 Pro Experimental. The other tool that it can use is the Perplexity tool. This is a research tool that will go out to the web and find the relevant data that it needs in order to answer questions that you've put in your prompt. Then it can call another workflow or an agent and instruct them to do a certain job for them. We have a schema, which is a certain way or structure that you want to have the AI agent spit out to make these agents reliable, to always output those things that you actually wanted on a consistent basis. So what does an AI agent do? Well, first of all, it observes based on your prompt, and with the large language model, it'll look at all the output to answer those questions. So it will likely get a lot more information that it would need, and it'll filter out what it needs in order to answer the question you prompt the best possible way. Next, it will decide which of those answers from other agents will be the best and will answer your prompt the best way. All these tools that it has and you've given them exposure to, and then it could delegate certain tasks to other agents. So looking at a complete agent profile, this is what you would look at. This is agentic AI. So giving other agents instructions, finding tools to answer the best questions, and ultimately putting it into a structure that we as humans can read and is a reliable output on a consistent basis when it does repetitive jobs. Now, we've experimented with AI over the last 6 months, and we've drawn some conclusions on using agentic AI in our business. What we feel is that with the people that we have, we can output a lot more. That means we do not have to recruit new people. We don't have to recruit new expertise. We can just use the system and output more with the same amount of people. What we have concluded is that it can execute faster and makes better decisions over time because it keeps on learning over time and it keeps on being better in terms of generating output. While we work with an AI agent, these AI agents actually learn what it is you'd like the best and the best output, and will give that to you on a consistent basis, right? You can't always trust humans to be consistent over a very long period of time. The other thing is that we feel that AI gives you a competitive advantage. So if we can do more prospecting, if we can do more content, if we can do more automations that help us speed up processes and make it simple, especially these repetitive processes, then AI will give you a competitive advantage. If you can work smarter, if you can work faster, and you can give your people the tools in their hands to give better and qualitative output, then you obviously can compete better than the businesses in your same vertical, right? So let me give you some examples of how we've built and what we've built in the last 6 months for both our clients and for ourselves. So the first example that I want to walk you through is this company called Wasage Caregiver. They came to us and said, hey, we are not getting the amount of clients and prospects that we want. We have one main problem, which is our clients pass away. When you're in the senior space, that is a problem. They need to have new clients coming in because they know they have natural attrition. So we've worked with them in seeing, hey, can we build an automation that helps you get on the calendar of certain agencies that can refer you clients, right? So in this automation, we actually look at certain prospects, and those are meetings that they schedule. There is a meeting to be scheduled, and the automation prepares a good snapshot of what the company is, who the contact is that they can best reach out to, what the opportunity is in terms of partnership, what kind of strategic talking points would be available to them to talk about when they do the first outreach and when they do the first discovery meeting, and some takeaways for the main sales rep for this company. This meeting prep is done for multiple agencies at a time. That means they can schedule these meeting preps with these people, talk about what's really important to this specific agency, and then get on the calendar to get the meeting. So that's one automation that we've built. How does that look in the background? And I've shown you what an AI agent looks like. In this case, it has two paths, a very simple automation, where the webhook here is looking at, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to do lead enrichment, or do you want to prepare for the meeting? And based on what they do here, they select from, go from schedule to enrich the prospect, or go to prepare for discovery meeting. The moment that button is clicked, this automation will run, where this AI agent will use, in this case, ChatGPT and the Perplexity tool to research the company and a certain output that we ask it to generate. It will do that based on a prompt that we give it. Here you see an example of a prompt. We give the expertise that the AI agent needs to have. We give it an objective, and we give it a context so that it knows, okay, we are Wasage Caregivers. Then we give it an instruction. And then here you can see the output in which we want to have it. And then important notes that the agent will need to follow. Based on that, what it spits out is it'll research that client and it'll give the services that they offer, the profile of their clients, what their mission statement is, and how we can use certain angles to improve our ability to get on their calendar, right? And the reason why we want to contact them so that we can use that in our outreach message. The other path that this follows is the moment that a meeting prep is selected, then it will produce this kind of snippet where it shows, okay, hey, you're going to have a meeting with this prospect. This is what the prospect looks like. And these are the talking points that you can use. Another automation that we've built is to create blog posts like this, newsletters, etc. Right? So we built a content machine. How have we done that? We pick a campaign. In this case, it's the Windows 10 end of life. We've got certain actions here. It works the same way. We say, okay, let's research the campaign first. If we do that and we select that, it'll create certain amount of content. Well, it has certain angles that it will create. In this case, this is the Windows 10 end of life. And it'll give a core message that we can talk about, key components, and a call to action. So each of these rows can be a piece of content, and we can schedule that to go out into a blog post. So based on the actions that we select here, it'll produce pieces of content, and it will produce the necessary images that we would need in order to put in a blog post like this. You can see here, it shows this second image to go on the blog post. That's how we automate our content creation. And we do that in such a way that it obviously speaks to our clients and our prospects. Another automation, as I showed you before, is how this demolition contractor uses automation to get a lot more proposals out and to help him get a conversion rate that's higher than he's currently has. And we use automation to do that. So you can send out more proposals to more companies. So he fills in the project name, the address, and the plan that can have like multiple pages, usually between 50 to 200 pages. Then he uses this automation system where, first of all, there is the demolition project. So in this case, he has the PDF he just uploaded is being analyzed by the automation. From here, he takes certain steps to get the proposal ready. So first, he needs to have the relevant sheets out of that plan. This can be a 200-page plan. The automation gives back the relevant parts of that plan with the sheet number he should look at and the content on that sheet, which is related to the demolition part of this project. It also calculates the square footage and the things he needs to pay attention to. He does that over a couple of sheets. At the end of the day, it gives back a proposal, like this type of proposal, where he's got a table of content, executive summary, a detailed scope of work. Now you can understand that he didn't used to do this. His proposal would be like 2 pages long with just the bare minimum. But here we add, what is our project approach? What is our safety and compliance plan? What is our project schedule? So it's much more detailed, even created in less amount of time. With this detail, we will expect that the conversion rate will go up, but with the amount of proposals he can send out, he can also expect that will go up. This will definitely double his business in the next coming months. So how is that automation created? In a similar type of structure, we look at, with a webhook, we look at, hey, what action do you want us to take? Then it'll take one route, prepare the document so that we can actually do something with that document, because some of those PDFs may just be images. So we have to take it apart page by page. Then we'll do the text extraction as a second phase. We analyze the relevant sheets, summarize all the relevant information, and create the proposal. That's how it's done for the demolition bid proposal system. Another automation that I wanted to show you is how we do our LinkedIn prospecting. We do that in 3 separate phases with the use of AI. First of all, we get a list of prospects that we want to research. And then our first step is to look at those companies and really qualify them first with a relevant score. We've got certain criteria that make certain companies better for us to serve than others. We obviously look at, hey, do they have an internal IT department? Because if they do, then it doesn't really make sense to approach them. Based on that, either companies get not qualified or qualified. Based on the relevant score, it enables us to reach out to the best companies first, rather than companies that may not actually fit perfectly with how we can serve clients. That's step 1. Step 2 would be, if we find the companies, we first have to select a person to reach out to. So where AI will help is to find these people in those companies. Here is like 5 people it will propose, where person number 1 is the most likely person. We've given it instructions to look first for people that are working in finance and operations, and then other type of people that you can see here. Once we've selected the right person, we obviously send a invite to connect and a sequence of messages that we can send out later or after the moment that they've accepted our invite. Okay, so how does that look in the background? This is the automation. First of all, we want to qualify the lead, right? So we qualify the company first. Then we find the 5 qualified prospects at that company. And then we create a personalized message specifically to that person. That person may have done a blog post on LinkedIn, and then we just tap into that blog post to say, hey, read your blog post. That's a great blog post, great topic. And then talk about our services, the reason why we want to connect with them. And then last but not least, we send that LinkedIn invite. We do split test that. We've noticed that you can send a invite with a message and without a message. So we're testing out, does a message really help? Or do we want to just send the invite and see who wants to connect? Okay. What we do in the last phase is after, especially when we have an email, after 7 days, so after a week, we do send them an email and say, hey, I send you a LinkedIn request. Maybe you want to connect. Here's my LinkedIn profile, please click on the link. All right. So that's an automation there. And then the newsletter automation, which is basically amazing because this helps me create newsletters in less than 2 hours. So this was the last issue that we've done. It creates all these components of the newsletter. One, the feature story, some trending news, and cyber threat update. Obviously, we will give it information about a client success story, but then it'll take over from there. We will provide it with a free resource that you can put in the newsletter and a latest webinar that we've held. And then I'll create a cover to get everything done in time. And we have this beautiful looking newsletter with very relevant content, relevant client success stories, trending news that people are interested in, some free resource, and a feature story. And then last but not least, we have the webinar that we've held that month, and it'll take that too in order to get top of mind with our clients and prospects again. Then the last automation that we've built for our own company just shows you how the process actually works and how you could implement something like this in your business as well. We actually noticed that in our business, especially when people want IT support, is when something breaks, they're going to look in Google for someone that can help them. So SEO is very important for businesses like ours. We need to continue to monitor our web presence and how we are projected on the web and whether that has a positive image of us, right? So it's a lot of image management here as well. We've built 3 phases in how we do that, and we'll build this out over time. But at least what we're going to do is we're going to look at, hey, if people are going to look for i.t.NOW, do they get the right information? In this location directory tracker, there are various places where we are listed as an IT service provider. Some of those listings we can check automatically. Some of those listings we do manually. So in this case, we can look, for example, in Yahoo Local. How will we present it there? Well, we at least have the right address, phone number, website, opening hours, and a business description. The more this is similar across these sites, the better it is for SEO ranking. So that's why we monitor that on a periodic basis. The next thing we do is we look at reviews, especially when you Google i.t.NOW, you see how many reviews we have and how many 5-star reviews, 4-star reviews, etc. have. So we want to continue to keep monitoring those reviews and be on top of those reviews if we get a negative review, right? Because we are all about quality of service. We split this into Google reviews and recently looked at other platforms because the more review platforms that you are going to be at, the better it is for SEO. So not only Google reviews we'll also ask people to do Yelp reviews. So we have coverage over multiple platforms, and we know that on Glassdoor, there are people that also provide reviews. So we monitor that on a periodic basis. The last thing I'll show you is our technical SEO. We obviously have a web page, right? And we've got this menu structure that you have here. And we want to see how these pages performs when it comes to technical SEO. So if they load fast and stuff like that. You can see that here, our main page. You can see the load speed on both desktop and mobile, whether it has certain critical issues and what the health score is. Now, the closer it has to 100, obviously the better, right? Now, it would be bad if we wouldn't have optimized this over time, over the course of the 30 years that i.t.NOW exists, but we still have opportunities. So I can sort on a health score and then look at, hey, where are the things that we could potentially improve, right? So these are all looking pretty good. If I look at page speed, let's take desktop. Here is an area where we can still improve, right? I could go and look at that page, how that page looks, and why it is causing such low load speed, because that'll impact the people that are looking for IT solutions for senior living in this case. That's how we improve that. How does that look in the background? I'm just going to show you the technical SEO, the workflow that we've built here. It first looks at all the pages that we have on our website, and it'll get the data that it needs in order to report back these factors like load speed, etc. It'll use an API that we've used, which is basically an integration with another company that can produce these numbers. And that's what it does here. We've built it in 2 phases where we can say, do it for the whole website with all subpages, or do it for specific pages. So how we will use this in the future is once we've done a blog post, we can actually check that individual page and see how do we perform? Do we need to change anything to have that blog post rank better than it is. Now I've given you a couple of examples, and I hear you think, well, that's great, but I'm not sure where to start. There are so many ways and areas that you can do. Well, that's why we provide a discovery call, so that we can talk together and see what strategically for you would be the best process to start. I can hear you think, well, I'm not technical, how am I going to do that? Well, you don't have to be, that's why you've got us, right? So we will guide you through that process. And the last thing I hear a lot, we don't want to replace people, we don't want to fire people. Actually, it's not about firing people, but it's about empowering people. When you give them the tools that they need, they'll give you a lot more output, and you can be more strategic than do repetitive tasks, right? So it'll free them up, and that will only be a benefit to your company. Now, what can you expect in such a discovery call? Okay, well, definitely we're not going to pitch you anything. What we will do is talk to you about your strategic initiatives and where AI will fit best and be implemented the fastest. We always look for a minimum viable product that we can provide to make a big impact in your business. To give you an example, I spoke to EcoShield Pest Control. Based on that discovery, I found that their critical process was actually recruitment, where the more people that they have on the ground, the better the company performs. So out of the 200 people that they contact to start to work with them, about 150 respond. And from that 150, about 50 start work. So just looking at the numbers, if we could help them out with an automation where actually from the 200 and the 150 that actually respond, we can get more people to start. So let's say not 50 people, but 70 people or 75 people, that'll give them like a third more impact and more revenue. So there is where I would look for an automation as an example. We try to understand where the time leaks are, where we can improve on a process that actually moves the needle a lot, right? We will map a current workflow that we suggest you implement, and then we identify those automations that have the biggest impact for your business. That's all we want to do in this discovery call, and it doesn't have to be more than 30 minutes. As I said, we've built quite a bit of processes now at this time. I showed you the demolition proposal generator. We've also worked with a client, which is more sensitive, so I can't show you that, which deals with legal cases where they have a lot of information about a case, which we basically dump into a big database, and we have AI to process the relevant things out of that for that particular legal case. For EcoShield, this is a recruitment bot that we're trying to set up for them in order to speed up that process. We are building an ad and content engine. You've seen the content engine already, but on top of that, we want to experiment in producing very quick ads that we can actually test using Facebook that will be on a pretty much automated basis with certain tweaks with the human in the loop. And I've shown you the newsletter auto publisher where we have articles created. We have the human in the loop in order to review those articles to see if it's actually valuable to you before we present the newsletter to you. Finally, I want to let you know that these aren't concepts. They are live automations currently used by not only us, but also our clients. So if you want to talk and you want to jump on a discovery call, I put a QR code here that you can just scan and get to the website where we can have a discovery call. If this has whet your appetite and you want to talk, then go scan this QR code, and I'd love to talk to you on one of these calls and see what is possible to you. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if there's anything, you can always reach out to me or to Mike Harrington, and we'll take it from there.